What's up guys, my name is Ace, and we now have the TR2 Full Auto Mod in Black Ops 6. This one's available in the COD Tunes event. And in today's video, we're going to be diving deep into the stats to see exactly what this mod changes and how this stacks up against the SMGs in the game, because this mod essentially converts the TR2 into an SMG. And diving right into the basics here, the interesting thing about this is it's not a flat full auto fire rate that this converts to. Instead, every time you pull the trigger, it starts with a fast fire rate, and as you continue to hold the trigger, it will slow down over time. And we'll look at those values in just a little bit here. But on top of this, this improves our aim down sight speed very drastically. It also improves our kick reset speed, so the amount of time it takes to reset our recoil plot when we stop firing for a brief period of time. We also see really nice hipfire improvements here, but this of course comes at the cost of damage and damage range, and there's also more recoil that you'll experience here compared to the standard semi-auto version of this gun. Now it's also worth noting, when using this, it will block off the barrel slots. You can't combine barrels with this. And for magazines, it also blocks all of the existing magazines off. However, it does offer a unique extended mag that you could put on, which gives you a 50 round magazine rather than 40, which is another upside with this. We get a default magazine capacity at 40 rounds, but we'll look at that in more detail toward the end of the video. With all of that out of the way though, let's get into more of the details here. We're gonna start this off with our damage profile, and with this mod, it's now gonna be a 4 to 7 shot kill, just like you would expect with many of the SMGs in the game. And when it comes to headshots, they're not particularly effective on this. In the maximum damage range, for instance, you have to hit every bullet to the head to get a 3-shot kill, which generally speaking is not going to be worth going for, and it's not going to happen all that often. So I wouldn't worry too much about headshots, especially since we can't use barrels, so we can't add the CHF barrel to improve headshots. You may as well just aim at the body with this one. Next up, let's have a look at our rate of fire, which is very interesting. If you look at the advanced stats, it states it has a rate of fire at 857 rounds per minute. That's not at all what I was able to find with my hand testing. Of course, it is a variable fire rate. I thought maybe they averaged things as well, but that doesn't appear to be the case as well. And with this, I do want to be clear, when it comes to variable fire rates like this, it is hard to hand test with 100% accuracy, just due to slight variances in frame rates, throwing some of the numbers off here or there. So this is a very close approximation, at least, of what we actually experience in game with our rate of fire. Using these fire rates, it at least gives us a very accurate time to kill value based on my hand testing with the time to kill. And from what I was able to tell, for the first 10 or so shots, probably exactly 10 shots, we fire at 800 rounds per minute, not 857. Whereas after those 10 shots that you fire with continuous fire, it then drops down to about 600 rounds per minute, and this seems to be immediate. It doesn't seem like it ramps down slowly over time. It looks like literally after 10 shots that you fire, you're just going from 800 rounds per minute down to 600 rounds per minute. But again, this is hand tested, so I can't say this with 100% confidence. And interestingly with this, I thought there'd be a little bit of a delay if you stop firing before it resets this rate of fire. But based on my testing, it resets effectively immediately when you stop firing. So if you just fire like a burst of 10 rounds, you stop firing for just the most brief moment, and then you start firing again, you will maintain 800 rounds per minute just fine. So it's actually really easy to get around that downside of that ramp down in our fire rate. Just try not to hold the trigger for any longer than 10 rounds unless you absolutely need to in a gunfight. In either case, what this means for our time to kill potential, assuming we're getting that kill within the first 10 rounds when we're firing at roughly 800 rounds per minute, with a 4-shot kill, we're killing in 225 milliseconds, which is a very fast time to kill potential in this game, even for an SMG. This is actually tied with the KSV as the second fastest killing SMG in close quarters. It's only beat out by the Compact, and the Compact barely beats it out. So very impressive time to kill potential right up close, but again, it's got to be within those first 10 shots, otherwise your time to kill will increase. And it is also worth noting, if you manage to land all 3 bullets to the head up close, which is going to be fairly rare, you will have a time to kill potential of 150 milliseconds overall. So not bad when it comes to time to kill, but what about our range values? Well, let's have a look at that, and as we can see, we do lose a ton of range compared to the base TR2, but we're essentially converting it into a totally different type of gun. So instead of looking at it that way, I'd rather compare this to similar SMGs, and like I said, this is very similar to the KSV within the first 10 rounds that you fire at least, and when we put it side by side with the KSV, you can see we have a very noticeably better range profile than the KSV. And not only that, our bullet velocity is very impressive for an SMG because it isn't reduced when putting this mod on. So we get marksman rifle level bullet velocity on an SMG, which is excellent. That gives us a really solid hit scan range at 33 meters. And when it comes to hardcore game modes, it will be a one-shot kill to the body in the first 2 damage ranges, whereas that 3rd damage range, you do have to hit the head to maintain a one-shot kill, and then beyond that, it won't even be a one-shot to the head, it'll be a 2-shot anywhere. Now, after that, let's have a look at our Hipfire spread, and we do see some nice spread improvements here compared to the base TR2, which is shown off by these circles, that's the base TR2, whereas the little Hipfire indicators, that is what you see with the Full Auto Mod equipped. And this Hipfire spread is even better than average for SMGs in the game, so excellent in that area. And now let's have a look at recoil, and you can see with this, initially it kicks pretty much straight upwards, and then it eventually will cut upward and to the right from there. And comparing it to the base TR2, there's definitely noticeably more horizontal recoil and a little bit more vertical recoil, but not by a whole lot. However, the gaps between the bullets, especially with those initial shots fired, it's actually better with the Full Auto Mod compared to the base TR2. And really, especially if you're trying to keep your kills within those first 10 rounds, like you should be with the TR2, this recoil shouldn't be much of a problem for you at all. It's really not what I would call an inaccurate gun by any means, especially for an SMG. This is plenty accurate to handle the ranges that you should be keeping yourself within for an SMG. Then when it comes to our handling stats, the only handling stat that's changed from the base TR2 is our aim down sight time, and it is massively improved from 300 milliseconds down to 180 milliseconds. And that's actually faster than all of the SMGs in the game when it comes to our aim down sight time. So excellent improvement there. However, our sprint out time isn't improved at all, and that is one area that holds this back a little bit, and something you should probably be using an attachment to counteract if you want to use the Full Auto Mod. As for mobility, just a quick mention here, this mod doesn't improve our mobility at all, so this is another area that's going to hold it back relative to the SMGs in the game. Realistically, it's not like it has a painfully slow movement speed or anything, it's just not keeping up with SMGs. And then finally, let's have a look at our reload time, which is changed when putting this mod on. Also, our capacity is doubled by default at 40 rounds rather than 20. And you can see, even with that increase in our magazine capacity, we get a faster reload time than we do with the base TR2, so excellent improvement there. And that's pretty much it when it comes to all of the important stats with this Full Auto Mod. Now let's get into a couple excellent attachment combinations I wanted to share for you guys. And the first one is my accurate build. With this, we're using the compensator just to really cut down on that recoil as much as possible. We've got the Ranger foregrip, partially for the horizontal recoil control, but also so we get a much better sprint speed, so we can keep up with the SMGs a little bit better there. We have the CQB grip, primarily for that sprint out time improvement. That's very important in my eyes, but it also helps with slide to fire and dive to fire times. We have the Infiltrator stock to help bring our aim walking speed at least within the realm of where some of the other SMGs are. Although it's not going to reach the same potential as SMGs, it at least reaches what you'd expect with like a base SMG aim walking speed. And then finally we have the mod itself, and you can see here it's a very accurate version of the gun. You can definitely stretch your ranges out just fine with this. And I really enjoy using this, especially if I'm on a map where I feel like I might need to stretch my ranges out slightly. And this just leads us to my second build, which is just a very slight variation of the first one. This is my stealth build, and the only thing that's different here is I swapped out the compensator for the standard suppressor. So we get all of those same like handling and mobility upsides as the previous build. However, we're not going to be quite as accurate. You can see there's definitely more recoil here. We still get some improvement over the base recoil with the Ranger foregrip. It helps with horizontal a bit, but it will climb on you faster than the previous build. And therefore, I'm not as confident stretching my ranges out with this one, but it's really good if you just keep yourself in close quarters. And there we go. That's going to wrap it up for today's breakdown on the Full Auto Mod for the TR2. And when it comes to my thoughts on this, I really enjoy it. This thing is very solid. I'm personally a big fan of the KSV SMG, and this is, in many ways at least, better than the KSV. Not in every way. The KSV has some advantages, but that just goes to show the potential that this has. It absolutely melts people up close, as long as you're not holding down that trigger for too long so it ramps down the fire rate, but that's really easy to play around. And also, I just wanted to make a note, I really like these style of conversion kits. This is something that actually does something very interesting in the game, and it's completely unlike any other gun in the game because of that variable fire rate. And I would love to see more conversion kits like this. I kind of wish we would have been seeing a bunch of these, or mods similar to these, throughout the year, because I really think it just adds some nice extra variety to the weapon pool, where it truly does feel unique. Now, of course, these are just my opinions, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this weapon mod in those comments down below. Do you guys agree with me? Do you think this is actually quite solid? Or maybe not. Do you guys not like it too much? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.